Welcome to the Real Estate Syndication Show. Whether you are a seasoned investor or building a new real estate business, this is the show for you. Whitney Sewell talks to top experts in the business. Our goal is to help you master real estate syndication. And now your host, Whitney Sewell.
This is your daily real estate syndication show. I'm your host, Whitney Sewell. Today our guest is Tommy Mello. Thanks for being on the show, Tommy.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Whitney.
Tommy Mello is the owner of A1 Garage Door Service, the host of the Home Service Expert podcast, the author of the Amazon best-selling book, Home Service Millionaire, and co-founder of LeadGeeks. Today, A1 Garage generates north of $30 million in annual revenue with over 250 employees in 12 states. He also, and I wanted to mention the LeadGeeks website is developing 200 off-market leads every day, which is very impressive, and we're going to get into that. But Tommy, tell us a little more about your businesses, and we're going to dive in a little bit and how you can help people in the syndication business, multifamily, and even other aspects of real estate generating leads.
Yeah, well, I appreciate being on here today. I just a normal guy, got thrown into the garage door business kind of through friends and family, and it's been one step at a time, and I started to learn more about lead generation because having your own business, the one thing that's hard to do is get good leads. So slowly but surely started learning a lot more about Google search engine optimization and really branding yourself. And we study pay-per-click all the time. That's one of our main things, and organic growth. And right now we're, like you said, generating a couple hundred off-market leads. And that's the kind of the lead. That's the growth model, is he who has the leads will always win. So I'm obsessed with just getting good customer leads, and everything from having a great reputation online to Facebook marketing to, there was a time I was posting 10,000 leads a day on Craigslist. So it really, it really changes over time, but it's fun for me. That's my passion, is marketing and sales.
Wow. Marketing and sales. Interesting. And so I guess that's how you're able to grow these businesses. And I mean, because your passion is the marketing and generating those leads. I liked what you said, he who has the leads always wins. That's clever. But on the garage side, and I want to get to the lead generation side also, but on the garage door side, as far as if I'm if I'm purchasing a large multifamily property and we're remodeling the property, say we're going to replace 50 to 100 doors, walk us through a little bit of some things that I need to be thinking about, when we're going to replace that many doors.
So number one, 40% of your curb appeal is your garage door, and most people don't think about it. On a multifamily unit, some of the times they're facing the main road, and it can actually add a ton to the curb appeal of the home. Another thing you got to be thinking about is energy efficiency. And in a rental home, there's what's called, you've got vinyl back, which is just a piece of insulation in there that pushes in. And you have steel back. It's a sandwich door. It's steel, it's polyurethane or polystyrene, and then it's steel on the inside as well. And a lot of people say this is a rental, I'm not going to put any money into it. But the cost difference is not a lot of money, but they're basically indestructible doors. And when you think about just renters, they do a lot of damage to these things. So I recommend getting a big manufacturer that you'll always be able to get panels for. Make sure you ask them if he's going to be out anytime soon, because you're going to replace a panel here and there. I'd also recommend always replacing the trim, the weather seal on the door. And then nowadays with the openers, they have things, LiftMaster and a lot of the other brands, Cookson, you got LiftMaster, Chamberlain, and Craftsman are all the same company. They have this thing called MyQ that you could open it from your phone. Now, depending on the nicer the multifamily, the better you should be putting, and you should be thinking about this. It's not a lot of money these days. So I like it because you could open and close your door from your phone. It's actually got a little thing right here. I got one sitting here, but this will allow you to close your door after 5 or 10 minutes. So it'll automatically close. There's a lot of benefits to putting on some nicer things, but you really just want something that's going to make it through the test of time. And I go to complexes all the time, and all the doors are messed up because they didn't get steel back. So I'd highly recommend the steel back. I'd recommend an easy light color to paint them, because the metal is not like stucco or wood. It actually scratches and dents a lot easier. So pick a lighter color and you don't see the blemishes as much. Those are the core things I would tell you just off the top of my head.
So what's going to be the costs that we should be thinking about, and especially with the steel back versus the vinyl, like you were talking about?
So on a 50 to 100 unit, you want to get several bids. And I personally, we get the best multiplier. So you're probably going to be getting them from Clopay or Amar. Amar's who sells to Home Depot and Costco. Clopay's who sells to Home Depot. Or Lowe's and Costco is Amar. But anyway, usually they're 8x7. So it's a 1-car. If it's a 2-car, you could be looking at, for a door and an opener install with that kind of volume, I mean, you're probably going to be $800 for the door and the opener and trim. And then the single door, you could probably get down to $600. Now, if you want to go steel back, be willing to spend an extra $100 to $200 a door, but you're going to save that in energy. And I know you're not paying the energy bill, but you're a lot less use of the air conditioning unit, a lot less just damage to the door in general. So it's really, is the juice worth the squeeze is what I say. And in this case, it always is, unless you're flipping them. So if you're flipping the complex, you're just trying to get that rent roll and get out. In that case, I would just get the cheapest possible. But if you're going to be keeping it and keeping that as a dividend, paying you all the time, then I'd say get the next step up. It's not a lot of money to do it. And I would say make it look a little nicer. I do a lot of these complexes. I work with a lot of people that do multifamily. And they're starting to invest in nicer and nicer things, because when you walk up to the home, sometimes I walk up to $5 million homes and they still got the cheapest garage on there. And I know I'm a garage door guy, so I'm a little bit different than most people, but I think it makes such a big difference when you see a nice garage. It really, it's I call it the smile of your home is your garage. If you got nice hardware and it looks good, it really makes everything else look better. The landscaping, the color of the home. So it's not that expensive. It'll be under $1,000 for a 2-car with the steel back and the opener. And then it'll be about $700 for the 1-car.
Nice. So how do we know what company to buy from or for the labor?
So I like to find a company that's licensed, bought, and insured. You want to check out how long they've been around, go on their BBB. Always check out Yelp, Angie's List, things of that nature. I like to get word of mouth. So I've got a lot of friends that I ask for different things, but the problem is a lot of the big companies use a smaller guy that's not there all the time. When he goes out, you don't get the service. So make sure they're a big enough company that they can work 7 days a week. Make sure if they got an emergency call, you can be out there. And it's different when you're talking about looking for a guy that's flipping 2 or 3 houses a month versus a 100 unit complex. You want to go to that next company up. You want to get a little bit better company that's going to be around there that can send 3 guys out at a time to get things done faster. And I know, the smaller guys just don't have the overhead, but they don't have the overhead because they don't have a warehouse. They don't have the 24/7 call center. They don't have the training. They don't have the nice trucks with the welders on them and everything. So in my opinion, you don't need to go to the most expensive. I would just go to the next level up rather than the 2 guys in a truck.
No, I like that. I haven't heard anybody talk about, making sure they have like an emergency line. Sometime you can call at any time, and working 7 days a week. That's something else that's good to think about when you're picking someone for your labor. So on the garage door side, what else do we need to know that I wouldn't have a clue. I would be depending on my contractor to really know what to do there. And so what else do I need to know to make sure he knows what he's doing, as far as what to get and what to do?
There's a lot of questions you could ask. A good question that I like to ask is, there someone I could call that's worked with you guys? How long have you been around? So what are the benefits of using me? Well, I've got a better multiplier. I buy so many doors. I've negotiated the best multiplier, better than Home Depot. That's how much, so what I do is, instead of buying the whole door, I buy the panels, then I buy the rails from somebody, then I buy the springs from another vendor, the rollers from another vendor, because all the garage door company's doing is they're a panel company. They're not a roller or hinge company. They get all the stuff from China. So my multiplier is better. We do drug tests and background checks, which is not as important on a multifamily because they're out there and there's not like families hanging out there most of the time. So, but that's one of the things that stands out for me. And, you know, we've got a mission and a vision, and we want to be a good company for a long time. And what you want is a company that's going to be around when there's problems. Everybody says they can give a good price up front, but when stuff doesn't go right, which does happen. And I always say this, here's my little rule of thumb. Hopefully I can do it on the show, but people want three things. They want it done fast, they want it done right, and they want it done for cheap. Pick two out of the three, and here's what you get, because it's very rare you're going to get all three of those things, because the guy that does a great job that's cheap is booked out 6 months. I mean, think about it. We all know this, whether it's your drywall guy, your tile guy, you know, he's so good, but he's always slammed. So I tell these guys, because I consult a lot of small businesses, raise your prices and work with the customers you want to, because these guys are working till midnight every night, but they're so cheap and they're so busy. So you never get all three. I choose be a good value, get it done fast, meaning I can come out there tonight if you want, and do a good job. Make sure it's done with quality.
No, I like that a lot. So I guess moving along, you know, as far as on the LeadGeeks or LeadGeeks, I apologize. You know, give me a little more background about LeadGeeks, what that is, and this company that you've built.
So I was dating this gal, Hillary, and we dated for several years, and she was doing flips and doing all this stuff with motivated sellers. And I was like, what's a motivated seller? She said, that just means they have an urgency to sell within the next 90 days. And we really like the off market, meaning it's not on the MLS. And typically it's kind of like a We Buy Ugly Houses situation. She has a company called Highest Cash Offer. And the deal is they needed help getting leads. So we took over the site, started building a lot of links, and then, you know, everything from blogging to just getting on really, whether it's, I write for Forbes, Huffington Post, Business Weekly, all these different syndications. And so I started writing and getting a lot better links. And my partner, Dustin, me and him are 50-50 on it. We really just were able to, I'd say he's the brains as far as the SEO. I mean, he is a monster when it comes to it. And so we started getting, what we found with them is when you don't pay for a lead, it's a lot easier not to work. The lead is hard. So we made a deal with them and said, how about you guys take Phoenix, and we're starting to get leads nationally. Let us sell out these other cities. So we realized what search terms bring in the best quality, because we were able to find out the conversion rate on which ones were bought. And when we started to get to really sophisticated companies that were like, the minute a lead came in their cell phone, they were on it. I mean, some people have it $10,000 call on their phone when it calls, because they're going through a divorce. It might be a probate lead, financially distressed. It could be a hoarder, just behind on payments, but they're motivated to get out of there, and it's not listed on the MLS. That's what we guarantee. So they go hit a forum. We've got a lot of different sites for specialty to rank for certain keywords. But if you wanted to look at a good example of what we do, it's We Buy Ugly Houses, which is home investors. Our leads, I would say, I'm biased, but I think they're better than theirs, because every Tom, Dick, and Harry is calling them saying, hey, I wonder what my house is worth. What would you guys offer me? Whereas our leads they're filling out a whole form, and they're not on the market, but they are motivated. Like I said, it's got to be within the next 90 days. And typically they want to sell within the next 2 weeks. So I always advise for my buyers, look, have it go to 3 people, so one of you can get right back to it. We'll email it out to everybody as well. Time is of the essence here. You want to show up to their house. So the main thing of the call is not to do anything else but get an appointment out. I don't care if you think there's enough equity or not. I don't care if you think it's a bad deal. They don't know. The sellers have no idea. They went on to Zillow, or, you know. So go there and then sit down at their kitchen table. The biggest mistake I see is wholesalers. Wholesalers that don't have any clue on how to actually take down the property. They're not the end user. And everybody's done wholesale. Every one of the guys that I sell to, every guy and gal out there, we've all done wholesale at some point. The difference is you got to have different ways to get the people to close. And it might not be the best deal to just wholesale. It might be a flip. It might be lease it back, a lease back option. The guys that I'm dealing with typically have 10 different ways to close. And I know it's a great economy right now, so it's usually in the bad economies where it gets up to be a little bit more ways to creatively close. But yeah, we got people closing between 1 out of 8 or 1 out of 12 of the leads. So, and then we've got some hedge funds that close like 1 out of 20, but they're looking for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, not on a busy road, but they resell the lead if it doesn't fit their criteria. And then we sell by zip code. So typically if you want a full city or a county, we like counties. And then let's say like Chicago has some worse areas you probably don't want. So we can take those zips out, and then it just does a round robin. So we might have 3 buyers there and it just rotates. And that's basically how it's done. And if you got a problem with one of the leads and you just say, hey, this wasn't the decision maker, this was their neighbor calling because they haven't seen them in 2 months, you just go into the system and ask for a refund, and then we check it out. And it's fairly 10% of our leads get refunded. It's a pretty low rate.
Wow. So when the leads come in, are they separated between single family and multifamily?
So we've got single family, multifamily, commercial, and then mobile home. And if anybody is looking for mobile home leads, we got a lot of them.
Wow. I know there's listeners looking for those.
There's mobile home with land, and mobile home with land's awesome because who cares about the mobile home? The land's what you're going after.
Wow.
But we don't get a few a day of those, and all over the United States. And we're doing Canada now as well.
Wow. So if I wanted to purchase leads, can I purchase just the commercial properties or is it just kind of everything that comes in?
No, you fill out, it's a Google form. You go through it. You fill out all the information. We ask you, there's probably about 15 things we ask you for that. We need to know where you want us to send the calls. You'd have a conversation with Nick or Andrew. Sometimes it's me, but very rarely now. And we go over the price. It's different. It goes anywhere from $125 per lead to over $400, depending. Like, I know Orange County's really, really expensive versus like a place in South Dakota that's really just more of a rural area. No offense to anybody out there. It's just not those buyers are like amazing for us because there's just not a huge demand out there. But yeah, you just go fill out all the information. We get you live within a day, and we get so many phone calls the next day after they get their lead. They go, we're lifers on this program. And I say, did you already get a deal? They say, no, but we've got 3 appointments or whatever it is for how many leads they got. And they really are sellers in a need. And that's all you said you were going to do for us. It's up to us to make the deal. But we're really going out to the house. We're going to sit down. We've already done all our research on the title and, to make sure there's no liens and whatnot. So that's typically what I get from a lot of people is this is the real deal. You guys are doing great. And we're at 200 now. Our goal is to get to 500 this year per day.
Nice. So who's your the best client for this system? And what does that relationship look like?
So the best clients are those who have had experience. Typically, they have a real estate license or they're married to a realtor or very, very close on their team. They have a realtor because some of the time, it's not often, but some of the time it's better to list it. So if you don't have a ton of equity in the home and you need to get top dollar, it's nice to have that in your back pocket. So there's that's really good. And then have experience to have 10 or more houses that you've bought in the last 10 or last year is pretty important to us because our leads are not the cheapest. They're what I call end of funnel. So this is when they're ready to make a decision. You don't have to work these leads like crazy. You're not like 6 months when you do outbound calls, those leads are great, but they take 6 months. You're outbound. Hey, I didn't realize I could sell my house for cash yet. These people are like, their bags are packed. So knowing how to close, knowing how to set an appointment, making sure you have proof of funds in the bank. And it's not one of the clients that we I won't say don't like, but that are not as successful is they just went to Tom Hopkins seminar and all of a sudden they're going to go be this amazing investor and they've got a couple contracts and a little bit of paperwork and they're like, oh, I got it all figured out. Tom Hopkins, told me how to do it. And those clients typically don't work because they just don't have the ability to close very well. So we work with a lot of consultants that they take people to the next level. They get about 10 deals under their belt. And then he goes, you got it figured out. I got the fire now. And he does a simple chart and he shows them, here's how much you want to make this year. Here's how much your close ratio is. Here's how much commission you make. He goes all the way back to how many appointments you set from each lead. And he goes all the way back into here's how many leads you need. Here's how much you got to spend because it's $250 per lead. So simply, here's how much money you need to spend a month with these guys to make a ton of money. So he backs into the number And it's really been successful for the people we work with. You know, he's probably given us 20 out of our 200 buyers. We have about 500, but a few hundred of them are on and off. They'll like get a big house to do a renovation and then they'll turn it off, which we don't like that. But in certain rural areas, and like I said, Mississippi, there's just certain areas across the country where the more rural, we kind of got to play by their rules a little bit. And the more they could leave it on, the more successful they'll be. Because we don't go after like how much is my house worth, because those are not really good leads. We go after like sell my house fast for cash or sell my house fast. And those are some of the keywords. We got like a couple dozen of those combinations that we know convert well.
Well, Tommy, what's a way you've recently improved your business that we could all apply to our business?
So the number one thing you can do, in my opinion, there's a couple things, but two big things. Let's go those. Number one is build your online reputation. Facebook, build it on Google, and it's simple. You take all Yelp, get your customer list in Excel, and literally give them a quick call. Make it easy for them. Ask them, please, can you please do this? Now, you're not supposed to give a gift, but you can appreciate them for their time. So a lot of times, just like you get $1 in the mail to take a survey, well, their survey rates went up thousands of percentages when they put $1 in. So don't incentivize them to leave you a 5-star. Incentivize them to take the time to do it. So there's a little bit difference there. So you don't want to bribe people to leave you a 5-star to say, check me out on Yelp, check me out on Angeles, check me out on Google. Build that online reputation because it's super important. Testimonials work. Getting a little video from your cell phone in landscape mode is a very, very powerful tool. It doesn't look staged because it's not staged. You simply say, how do we do? Why would you use this again? Oh, did you find the house of your dreams? Whatever it might be. But I like to do, what I like to see is happy customers that sold to me. If I'm a seller and I've got these testimonials of other people who have sold that look like me, they kind of remind me of myself. They might have one for every situation. That's so powerful. Then the other big thing, I'm actually doing a TED Talk this summer, is what's in it for me. It's called WIFM. And it's understanding what's in it for the other people, whether it's employees, whether it's your wife or husband. When you really sit and think about it, I got a whiteboard right here. This is what I do all day, is I say, when I get into this debate or whatever it is, this whatever I'm trying to get, what can I offer them? What's in it for them? And I truly think about that. I write down, how are they going to win for this? What can I do to make them feel like they just had a huge win? And I started thinking outside of the box of what's important to them and maybe some things that I can live without and what's going to make it better for them. And all of a sudden, I've been doing that this year, and I've renegotiated. It's just happier at home. Everything's so much better when you start thinking what's in it for the other people, because so much we say, well, this is what I want, but we don't. I spend a full day before I go into a huge negotiation now, and I write down everything. I do all my research, and I find out all the nitty gritty things that's going to affect their lives in a positive way.
Nice. I like that a lot. Maybe just hit quickly on a way that you built your online reputation, the top thing that worked the best for you.
So I go through a lot of customers. So one of the things we do is it's a survey. So there's a net promoter score. Basically says, would you use us again? And if you're 8 or 9 or 10, that's considered passing. 6, 7, I think it's 6, 7, and 8 maybe are just neutral. Then there's the negative. But basically, would you use us again? And then we have them rate us 1 out of 5. We try to really get in front of those 1, 2, and 3s and try to call them and see how we could do better, see what kind of things they didn't like. It's a great learning opportunity. And then the 4 and 5s, we definitely push them to let us know how we did online. So we kind of have a filter now. Now, Google doesn't like you to send out a survey to where you push them directly if it's a 4 or 5, but a little bit more manual. I think the best thing to do now, there's a company that I'm working with, the CEO, is called Send Out Cards. Now, this is huge. Send Out Cards, for $97 a month, you can send as many cards that come in the mail, regular cards, in an envelope with a stamp on it, as many as you want, as long as they're heartfelt, meaning that you custom typed it up. $97 a month. So when you write a letter that says, Hey, Jim, just thinking about you right now. I'm so glad you gave me the opportunity to buy your house. I've got a beautiful couple moving in there with their baby boy. That kind of stuff goes a mile, and nobody does it. And when they do it, they do it for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and they drop off. So people are like, it can't be $97. What if I send 1,000 of them? Well, then it's $97. That's included postage and the card stock. What if I send 10? It's $97. So it really does work. When you get a piece of mail and it looks like a birthday card, you open it. So I think that stuff really, really works well. And then text messaging. So many of my staff here, several hundred employees, I'm like, did you text the customer? I prefer text. Don't send me an email. And calls I don't answer most of the time. I'm busy. So the text messages get answered. All text messages get answered. So start thinking mail and text messages are more effective than email and phone calls now.
Very valuable information right there. I appreciate that a lot. And what would you say is the number one thing that's contributed to your success?
It's having an open mind. I read a lot. I just looked at my my Audible, and there's 750 books. I interview a lot of successful people that are literally $250 million a year is the income. And the number one thing they said is, you got your 5 closest people around you. Think about those 5 people and add up their income and their traits and how much they work out. And typically you're going to be that you're really with, whether it's on the phone, whether it's on a Zoom call, but you're probably within 20% of their income when you add it all up and divide it by 5. And you're probably working out as much as the people there. You're probably eating a lot like them. You're drinking a lot like them, and you're going to church a lot like them. So, you've got the 5 things. And he said, but there's one thing you need to know about, Tommy. And I said, what's that? He said, the people that read. Think about if you read Steve Jobs' biography and you're spending time with Steve Jobs, really, in your mind you are. That counts. Take his income and add that to that. If that's truly somebody you're working and you're studying and you're reading. And it's so true to read, and always I try to take cliff notes and I write down at the back all the pages I liked of the book, and then I type them all out. And a lot of Audible, I re-listen to it, but it really, really has become effective for me to put the page numbers that it meant a lot to me on the back, type them up, and then look at my own little cliff notes. And reading is probably the most important thing to being successful. And then just having an open mind and not getting discouraged, waking up and saying, today's a new day. If something didn't go right, it doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It just means it's a learning experience. So optimistic view of your surroundings and not being in this hole. It's a mindset. I talk a lot about it in the book that you mentioned. Is mindset is first. Finding out your why, like Simon Sinek, is your why of working just can't be you don't want to work for somebody else. And I talk a lot about this stuff. And then there's simple things like key performance indicators, knowing where your key KPIs are, which KPIs is a lot of my success is driven by numbers that I see what's going on and I know where to put my time. Oh, one more thing. I know I've got a board out there that says my top 5 things to focus on. And it's a Trello board on my computer, but I write it down out there so everybody knows what the management team's doing. And I've got my top 30, my top 5, and then I got a master project list. And the most effective things that we can be working on the business, not in the business, make it to the top 5 board. And it's whatever's going to save me the most amount of money or make me the most amount of money. And that's what I'm working on all week long. I'm not getting inundated with, people coming to my door. I'm focusing on the business. And I have an assistant who does an amazing job. She helps me with my time management and my clutter, which is, I've been out of town for a week. So right now it's getting bad, but it's getting better though. She's great with me. She's got my calendar figured out, and she was just on the phone on my cell phone taking a call about 5 minutes ago. So that helps too.
Awesome. Tommy, you've been a fabulous guest. You've provided lots of great content from many different aspects, and I appreciate your time. Tell the listener how they can learn more about you and your business and your book.
Yeah, well, the book is Home Service Millionaire. It's how I went from $50,000 in debt to $30 million plus in 7 years. Good book. It's a long book, about 190 pages. And then the podcast I do is called The Home Service Expert. And then if you want to check out LeadGeeks, just fill out a form on there. It's LeadGeeks.com. That's LeadGeeks.com. And it kind of tells you the whole process. And and my email is T as in Tom, Mello, Mello, at a1garage.com. I have 80 emails that all go to one, so that's probably the best one is tmello at a1garage.com. There's no W in Mello. And I want to throw out, read The Home Service Millionaire, but there's also a couple other books I'd recommend. There's this book, Start With Why is a great book. Another great book that I just read recently was Steve Simmons, and it's called Blue Fishing. It's a great book. And then one book that explains me so much is called Rocket Fuel. And it explains that you got to understand, see, I'm a visionary, and then there's the integrator. So when you read that book, it'll change your life. I promise the people listening out there, if you got to understand who you are, and hopefully you're one of them, and really live it and know it. And the one thing I'll challenge you to do is not say I'm both, because so many people go, well, I'm all the good qualities. That's like saying I'm a Pisces, I'm a Leo, whatever year it is, whatever, take the qualities of each of them and realize you're not perfect at all of them, and own the position, and you'll be a lot more successful.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tommy. I appreciate your time. I hope the listeners will reach out to you. And also I hope the listener will go to LifeBridge Capital and connect with me and schedule a call, and go to our Facebook group where we can all learn from experts like Tommy and grow our business together. And we will talk to you tomorrow.
Thank you so much. Appreciate being on.
Thank you for listening to the Real Estate Syndication Show, brought to you by LifeBridge Capital. LifeBridge Capital works with investors nationwide to invest in real estate, while also donating 50% of its profits to assist parents who are committing to adoption. LifeBridge Capital, making a difference, one investor and one child at a time. Connect online at www.lifebridgecapital.com for free material and videos to further your success.